Sarah Louise, and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to do a video about surrendering, and this is only my opinion from my experience, from things that have worked for me. Obviously, you always have to follow your own intuition, what resonates for you, what technique works for you. Ultimately, I really believe that everything about consciously manifesting is about your belief and your limiting beliefs. So, as long as you're working through those in a way that is working for you, then, that's all that matters. But when it comes to surrendering, so I personally believe that the ultimate state to be is complete surrender. I've been in that state. I feel absolute joy, bliss. It's like you radiate and people are literally just drawn to you. I mean, when I've been in those states, I'll just walk down the street and people just can't stop staring. And it's not in the normal way that they would stare. It's like they don't even know why. Like normally they look and, they'll be, somebody fancies you or something like that, and you can kind of tell and they know why they're looking. But when you're radiating, it's sort of like they just don't even understand it, and they just kind of, you can see them trying to process like what it is. And I've generally been in those states when I've been really present. I've been really just being and, just naturally grateful, being present in the moment, allowing, and just everything's flowed in. And you could say, well, am I meant to be in that state all the time? Because this was a big thing that I was having, was should I be consciously manifesting or should I be being? Because this is the ultimate state. When I'm in this state, I feel heaven on earth. It's absolute joy, it's bliss, I'm radiating, everything's just flowing into my life. I'm not even trying to make things happen because it's just flowing in. And then when I look back and I think of the things that flowed in, they were often things that I probably desired at some point, and then I got into that state and they all just flowed in because, they might seem to have come from nowhere. Because I did a little experiment not that long ago. I decided to just focus on being, and I literally just laid on my bed and I was like, I'm not going to move. I just come out of one of these really toxic soul connections, and I've been manifesting consciously, brought him back lots of times, and I remember just saying, I'm just gonna be, and I just laid on my bed and I didn't do anything, and I was like, I'm only gonna do anything that I'm called to do and that I feel intuitively and inspired to do. And it wasn't long, I only did it for like a week before I started feeling bliss, joy, I was radiating. And then lo and behold, all these opportunities came in. But when I look back at the opportunities, that I had a soul connection, I had like a romantic connection, I met lots of friends in my area that were on the same spiritual alignment, things that I'd been asking for quite a while. And this was actually somebody I briefly manifested as well a year ago, but in between this really crazy stuff that was going on with somebody that I had these huge feelings for. So I wasn't really paying it much attention. So in my state of beingness, things flowed in and I only acted on inspired action, but they were all things that I had previously desired in some form or another. And then, so my belief is that is the ultimate state to be in, to just be in surrender, to be in flow, to be in allowing, to just be radiating. You're just like a magnet for amazing things. But then obviously, then we have to question, are desires good or are desires bad? For me, there's no such thing as good and bad, but for me, desires are kind of natural part of life. And I personally believe in deconstructing them and processing them and looking at if there's any ego programs connected to those desires, and if you're looking for that thing to make you happy, or if you're already fulfilled and you're just like, oh, that would be fun to experience, that would be fun to experience. And to me, that's really conscious manifesting, is when you're living in this now, you're living in this present, and then you just have a thought of something and you desire it and you just experience it, because we're living in the 3D world. I don't believe there's anything wrong with desires, it's the energy that's attached to the desire. Like having money because you want to have fun and you want to have an experience is one thing. Wanting money for survival, or, you know, anytime there's like an ego program attached to that desire, then that's when I think, you know, it doesn't matter. You can still manifest it. You can still have it. It's not a problem. You can have anything you like. We're here in the 3D world, but that's when it will ultimately become unfulfilling at some point. Because it's not like heart-centered, you know, it's not coming from a place of fullness. It's coming from a place of need or lack, or looking externally to be happier. So whenever I've like truly, because at the end of the day, we want to feel good, right? And the times when I felt just absolute bliss, like the purest joy that you can't even put into words. And you just get it when you're just lying there doing nothing. And then things have come in. That's when it's just been absolute magic. And that's when relationships are amazing too, because you're in that bubble period and you're just in presence, you're now, and you're experiencing the relationship in the now. So on to like consciously manifesting. So, you know, you could say, should I be in that state all the time? But something that I found is that limiting beliefs are just joy killers, you know? And when you bring this stuff in, if you then have loads of limiting beliefs about it and they start to spiral and your head goes out of control and you start to write a story and then you tell your friends about it. Now you could say, I think there's two ways to go about this process. You could constantly just try and be no mind, or you can actively take charge and you can neutralize your beliefs by affirming the opposite and neutralize your limiting beliefs. Now, I've tried a bit of both, and kind of both work, you know, and at the moment that's all I can say is that they do both work. But I think sometimes the process of consciously manifesting does really help you work through stuff without having to experience it, because you're literally just working through it on paper. And some stuff you then don't even need to go out and live or experience, like the old slow way where we just used to, you know, go and get triggered and then go away and do a bit of healing. And, you know, it takes decades, years. You know, this is much faster. So I personally believe the point of consciously manifesting and the point of affirming is, and the point of a mental diet is to get to a place of joy, bliss, nowness, and surrender eventually. And you're literally just deprogramming your limiting beliefs that are stopping you from being in that state. And so, you know, eventually when you want it, that's why when you just have a casual thing, it's really easy to bring in, because you just have a little casual thought, you know, oh, you know, I get instant manifestation now on anything like that, where I just casually have a thought about something and, you know, think, oh, that would be nice. And yeah, like it just shows up, you know, and I'm not really focused on it. I just think of it and let it go. But this process doesn't really work with things that there's big resistance to. And this is why I've mentioned in a lot of videos that I don't believe in like surrendering. I believe surrender is like a natural byproduct of destroying your limiting beliefs, which is why I do believe in manifesting and affirming, even to be in the now and to be surrendered. Hope this makes sense, and you know, it's not all over the shop. Because you're basically bringing awareness to your limiting beliefs, and you're kind of turning them on their head, and you're getting rid of them by affirming the opposite. And this is why I think we should affirm on any topic that we're thinking about until we stop thinking about it. And I think people get scared of that point where they're like, oh, I don't even know if I want it anymore, and actually I don't even care anymore. But as long as you're thinking that in a kind of neutral way, and you're not coming at it from, oh, I don't even want that anymore because I'm too angry, or they've hurt me too much, or I can't be bothered to try for that anymore. Like, that's a very different energy to basically whenever I've brought something really big in. It's like I've gotten to a point after I've affirmed for so long that I kind of feel full and I feel like saturated. And basically, I'm no longer trying to reach for this thing in 3D. I'm not trying to use it to fulfill me anymore. I'm not trying to seek happiness from it. I'm not trying. I also completely believe, like I've affirmed to the point where I believe it's mine. I don't have any like self-doubt issues or self-worth issues. And I believe in the process of having anything I desire. And I generally feel when I reach this point of fullness, it's not that I lose interest, but it's just like, you feel full, and that's when it's done, and that's when it can very, very quickly come in. But when you're constantly thinking about it, if your thoughts are contradictory, or there's negative thoughts, or they're not like, they're not calm, and they're not like, oh yeah, I know it's coming. Like if you think about a thing or a person and your thought isn't, yeah, I know they're coming, I know that's happening, I have no doubt. That's when I believe, affirm. Because otherwise you're basically kind of just leaving a half-done desire, a half-done manifestation. And they're the things that kind of linger on for ages because you've sort of not really worked through the limiting beliefs that are stopping you from having that thing. But you've kind of just stopped taking action because you've given up, or you don't believe you're powerful enough, or you don't believe you create a reality, or you think that person's too good for you, or they're still on a pedestal. So yeah, my personal belief is that if you don't think of a topic and just either be able to let it go because it's not really that important to you, or you don't think, well, I know that's mine, and then let it go, then just keep working at it, because you've got limiting beliefs in the way of you and it. And in order to surrender and be present and feel bliss, I personally, at this point in my journey, believe that it's important to work through those things, because otherwise you'll be now, you'll be in surrender, you'll be in bliss, you'll bring in your person, they'll be like, hi, and they'll literally be like, I've always loved you, like you've done all your revision, and they'll be like, all I want to do is commit to you, I'm never going to leave you, and boom, in they come. And then one little limiting belief will creep in, and then another little limiting belief will creep in, and before you know it, you're spiraling down. Then you're starting to tell all your friends, oh my god, they've done this, you're writing the story, they're like, oh my god, they've got all this baggage, oh my god, they won't commit. Story gets repeated. You're telling it to your friends, you're sinking it in deeper, and it's kind of this that isn't now, that's not present. So in those moments, to come back to presence, you need to neutralize those limiting beliefs. And I really believe affirming is the way to do that. But I don't think affirming is like the ultimate state. The ultimate state is surrender, but it kind of takes a bit of mental diet and affirming and sticking to it for a good, basically sticking to it so you don't have negative thoughts on that topic. And you don't have limiting beliefs on that topic, and you can be completely neutral, and you can feel just completely heart-centered in the situation. So yeah, that's my how I believe in affirming versus beingness. I believe you use mental diet, you use affirming to get rid of limiting beliefs so you can be, and you can surrender, and you can just allow. And I guess the more topics we can neutralize, the more blissful our life will be. So it's not really about these things. If you bring a person in, it's not going to make you happy. Not if you're not able to be present and enjoy it and have a blissful heaven on earth experience. That person isn't going to bring you that. You have to find that energy inside of yourself, and you're almost using these 3D elements and these people. You start to see things very differently. It does kind of destroy romance in some way, because you see people as almost holograms of yourself, showing you what you still got to clear. And it does get to the point where you can still have beautiful experiences with people, but someone can literally leave you or back off, and you don't fall apart because you're just like, oh, I just created that and I just have to create it differently. Or you know, if you want to create a new person, like, you know, whatever, and everybody's journey and experience is going to be different. I have so many actually new findings that I want to share, because I've had like, I used to think, like, when I had these really intense spiritual connections, I could feel all their emotions, and I could hear their thoughts. I'd get whole sentences, and they'd come back and they'd confirm it. So I've been testing this a little bit, because I've really wanted to get to the bottom of it. And I've realized that, you know, I am very empathic and I do feel people, but that my manifesting, I've been testing this pattern, and I'm really starting to see the pattern is that my manifesting puts the thoughts into the mind that I then feel. And it's messed me up for years and years, because I've been, you know, feeding into their energy, and I'll start to feel that they regret things, and that will lower my energy, and then I'll remember all the hurt and the pain, and, you know, and the things that I went through. And yeah, I've really been, I don't have total proof, but I've been testing this enough, I believe, to see that I'm manifesting. Then they're starting to get these thoughts, and then I'm feeling and hearing those thoughts. And I've, yeah, been testing around with this a bit. And that's where I've gotten to with that kind of soul connection, telepathy, that it is still me manifesting, but I'm also simultaneously able to feel and hear thoughts, which has kind of messed me up. I think if I didn't have that, I would have, you know, this would have been so much easier. But when you can feel and hear what's coming your way, it's messed me up many times. But I've definitely been testing that, and I'm definitely seeing that it's still controlled by me, because everything in my reality is my creation, and everybody is coming in the way that I think they will be, and I think they will come to me. I always find it funny when people think that it's controlling to consciously manifest somebody, because then on the other hand, they never say the same when you've pushed them away with your negative thinking and limiting beliefs. Like, everybody seems to have this, not everybody, but the people that are against this kind of controlling, as they call it, controlling people, have a very one way of thinking, that it's, if you've pushed them away with your thoughts, that's okay, but you can't magnetize them with your thoughts. So it's always a little bit hypocritical, that one, I find. So, you know, if you believe that your thoughts create, then you should believe that your negative, you know, if you're going to be on board with the whole thoughts create, then you can't just only think it works one way and not the other. And I actually find it really good to own up and to look at negative things that I've manifested, because it really, really helps you see yourself as a creator by not only owning the positives, but also owning the things that you didn't want to experience, but you can totally see how you manifested them. So yeah, I hope this video is helpful, and I'll be back soon.